Well, instead of appetizers with council members, should have been cooking with Khamis.
I like that. All right,
That's
we are
what I
now
was calling it.
live. We are streaming live on Facebook. So Councilmember, kick us off, please.
All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me with Cooking with the Council Member. I'm here, we do this, we've actually met every 2 times a month for the last 8 years, just to catch up with the community. And today will be my last segment of these community meetings that I like to host. Of course, I would prefer to have met you guys person to person, which is something that I miss from all this COVID, but I'm here with you, and we're today, we're gonna have a great show, possibly the best show that we've ever done. But before we do that, I'm gonna make some announcements as usual. I'm excited to let you know that on Tuesday, the policy that I put forward on bond financing for our workforce housing is moving forward. It was referred to the city staff, who's going to come back in April with a more defined parameters. And this is a bond program that I've been pushing for that help investors help us create workforce housing, lower income, not low income housing, but for our nurses and our VTA bus drivers and our teachers who are having to commute many miles because they can't afford to live in this area. This will create affordability, and it'll create it quickly. I'm so happy it is moving forward. I want to thank all my colleagues for supporting it. It passed unanimously on Tuesday, and it's going to come back in April. And so I'm super excited about that. And since this is my last public meeting as your council member, I wanted to thank my outgoing staff. Those are the staff that are not going to be staying on with Matt Mahan's team. But let's start with Queenie No. She actually coordinated our newsletter, and she did all of our social media and press releases. Enrique Navarro Adolan, which is he was our policy analyst for anything transportation related, like VTA and the Department of Transportation. He helped us on homeless issues and many other issues. Amal El Haddad, our special events coordinator. Amal, she came in and she's a jack of all trades. She's helped us with so many different things. And I'm sure she's gonna land on her feet. Danelle Fedora, she is our policy analyst for our housing and economic development, education, the youth, our seniors. And by the way, she helped us for the last 4 years planning and coordinating the 4th of July at the Almaden Lake. Thank you, Danelle, for all that work. And of course, we have Jose Salcedo, who's been with me for many years. He's been the liaison for the Hoffman Viamonte area. Some people think that he's their council member because he's there so often. And he also helped me with Veterans Affairs and Public Safety at one point. And departing, but not right away, but he's going to stay on with Matt's staff for a little bit in the beginning, is my chief of staff, Shane Patrick Conley, who's actually on the line with us today. He's been with me since day one. He's been my chief of staff since day one. He is, by far one of the most devoted public servants that I've ever met. Thank you, Shane, for all your work to serve our community. Both, I think you served in District 1 and District 10. Again, thank you for all the work that you've done.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure with you. Absolutely.
All right. I think you have bad Wi-Fi. Anyway, we also wanted to update you a little bit on the playground garden. We've been talking about this, the Almaden Play Garden. This is the project that we already have $1.3 million worth of funding to make it, and right now it's a good project, but we'd like to turn it into a great project. So we started our fundraising. Our goal is to raise $3.7 million. My family's already donated money to this effort. It's just one of the great assets to to have everybody play together regardless of their abilities. And I'm looking forward that many elected officials and other leaders have joined this effort, and I'm hoping that all of you will join it as well. If you can log on to the Rotary Club's website, this is playgardenalp.org. And if you can, please contribute today. And now to our main event. Are you ready, Pam? Are you ready to cook with a council member?
I'm absolutely ready to cook with Khamis.
All right. I like that. I like that even better. Cooking with Khamis. All right. So today, Pam, I just wanted to let you know that I'm from the Middle East. I was born in Beirut, Lebanon. And every now and then I like to share a dish that I love and I love to make. My mom taught me how to cook. Ever since I was, maybe 6 years old. It's been a pleasure to, work with my mom to cook these many dishes. And I put a couple of spins of it on my own. And today we're making tabbouleh. Have you ever had that, Pam?
I think I have, but I don't know when I will. So tell me, I'm very curious how you're going to make it and watch it and I should be serving it.
Okay. All right. I wish you were right here side by side, but it is what it is. But it is basically a salad. It's used as a salad or a side dish in the Arabic culture. It looks a lot like pico de gallo if you've had Mexican food. And we do use it as a side dish for many things. It's great with fish and it's great with just by itself. So the main ingredients, I think they're going to pop up here. But we could start with prep. Now this thing is 90% prep and 10%, putting things together. So it does take a lot of prep time, but the ingredients are very simple and you can find all of them at your local grocery store. So let me start by going through our first ingredient. This is something that you need to start first, okay? You need to use something called burgle wheat. It's cracked wheat, and you can find it in most stores. In fact, it comes in two different sizes. So I don't know if you can see this. I have a medium grind burgle wheat right here, and then we have a fine grind over here. Sorry. So it looks a lot more fine, and so you can use these interchangeably. And Pam, the reason why you use this interchangeably is because it's actually a grain. It soaks up whatever you put in it. So if you use the medium, it's going to take longer and it has to soak longer. If you use the fine, it can be, you can eat it within an hour and a half of soaking. If you use the medium, it will take a couple hours, maybe 2-3 hours for it to soak up.
So can I ask you a question about that?
Sure, absolutely.
So you have to soak it before you use it, kind of like sometimes with beans, when you're making a soup, you need to soak the beans ahead of time. So this is the same kind of thing. You need to soak it ahead of time.
Right. It actually puffs up just like the beans do too. Because it's dry. A lot of people in the Middle East, they'll soak it in water. I got a different take on it. I told you I have a couple of different twists. Instead of soaking the cracked wheat with water and then draining it, what I do is soak it with the extra virgin olive oil. Now, what I tell people is, if you're going to make the salad, don't bother using regular oil or don't bother using crappy oil. You need the EVOO. You need the good stuff. And I use only the best because you're going to taste every bit of it. You're not going to cook with it. It's not going to be dissolved in a cooking or heat. So extra virgin olive oil. And I also soak it with the olive oil and the lemon juice. And I also don't bother making the salad if you're going to use those bottled juice, lemon juice.
Are you kidding? I have a Meyer lemon tree. I would use my lemon tree.
Yes. What kind of lemons do you have, Pam?
Meyer lemons.
Myers. Okay. I prefer the Eureka, but you can. They have, if you scratch them, they have a little bit more of a oomph and a little less sweet. That's what I prefer, but you can use, they're interchangeable. So you squeeze the lemon. I'm not going to squeeze the lemons for you here, but you get the idea. I soaked the lemon. I soaked the cracked wheat. I actually soaked it ahead of time. I don't know if the camera could see this. It actually was half the dish when I started soaking it, and it puffed up all the way. So it's gonna puff up, all right? And I'll put that right in the bowl. And actually, if you leave it too long, it turns into cement. So we're putting it in the big bowl, right? Because all this is just gonna come together. The next ingredient I want to talk to you about is parsley. This is, there's actually two kinds of parsley that you can use. This is Italian. I don't know. It's got big leaves. You're familiar, Pam?
Yes.
And there's another one that's called curly leaf, right?
Right.
Yeah. They're interchangeable, but these, the Italian actually has more flavor. Okay. So when you get these, they come in little bundles like this, right?
Yep.
I actually also like the organic Italian is the best. So you get these, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but they come out with a bunch. You take out the bunch, and you don't want the whole thing. The stem is actually very bitter. You don't want the stem. You want just the tops, just the leaves. And you notice how I'm doing it. I'm removing all the stems. I throw away the stems, and then I keep the leaves. And then when we need to wash them, because they're grown in dirt, sometimes they're very, very dirty. And we take these big colanders, we wash them 3 or 4 times before we actually start to chop them. And before we even start to chop them, we dry it because they retain a lot of water. And we don't need a lot of water in the salad, otherwise it's going to be a soup. So there's 2 methods of squeezing out the water. There's the, use your muscles method. My wife actually takes a nice soft cotton pillowcase. She takes them after they are soaked. She puts them in the pillowcase, and then she wrings the pillowcase.
Ah.
And it actually dries them very quickly because all the water just pours right out. So it's a great trick to learn that my wife taught me. And then there's 2 ways of chopping. And I don't know if are you handy with a knife?
I am, but I just cut myself recently pretty badly with a knife. So tell me how you're going to cut and it was cutting parsley actually. So
Really? Okay.
in fact, I've got a bandage on my finger because of it.
Oh no. Well, I make sure that my knives are very sharp, because if you're tomatoes and parsley, if it slips off, you can cut yourself just like you did.
Yep.
There's 2 ways to cut these. One is just grab a handful. See, I don't know if you've seen this. I grab a handful like this. Okay. And if it's watery, I squeeze the heck out of it, right? And then I put it on the chopping board and chop. This is going to take a couple of minutes for me to chop it all, but you want to chop it really, really fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice skills. Nice knife skills, Johnny.
I've been cooking for quite some time, Pam. I think that I specialize in barbecue, and I love to barbecue, but I am good in the kitchen as well,
That's great. A man who's good in the kitchen is a good thing.
So what kind of wine are you drinking?
You weren't supposed to tell anyone what I was drinking. I'm actually drinking champagne. So there you go.
Okay. Well, that's even more festive.
Yes.
Actually, it goes good with anything white. I wouldn't recommend red wine with this, though. It has too much body, and it actually will disturb the flavor of the parsley. You want to have as much. And some people don't like parsley. Oh, the one thing that I was going to tell you, don't confuse parsley with cilantro.
I was just going to say that. You're reading my mind because it's such different flavors. So I have a question for you regarding serving tabbouleh. What would you accompany it with?
It goes great with fish, actually. It goes really, really good with fish. And so I don't know if you guys can see, but these are very small leaves.
Good job chopping. That's great.
Thank you. And so the best way is to hand chop it. But if you're on tight on time, I've actually thrown a whole mess in this food processor. No water. Again, you don't want water in this because they'll start sticking to the sides and it'll be a horrible mess. But I put it on pulse. You put it on pulse so that the top comes down and gets chopped quickly. A little faster than a knife. It's done already. And yeah. You know what else you can have it with is meat, like regular red meat. I've actually had this dish with everything. Some people just, the vegetarians in my family will just eat it by itself, right?
Mhm.
You know, it actually has a lot of, the cracked wheat has a lot of carbohydrates and it acts like a bread. And all the other ingredients are really good, you know, good for you. You know, it's a Mediterranean diet that people talk about so much. It's really, everything is healthy here. Okay, so that same thing, it came out pretty good. Again, pulse it. Don't if you just put it on, it'll turn to mush.
Yeah.
And you don't want to overdo it either. So
parsley is a key ingredient. Parsley and the bulgur wheat.
Yeah. Everything is, you know, has a proportion. I think our recipe calls for 4 bundles of parsley and then about 5 medium tomatoes. Now, tomatoes, I like them a little bit bigger than this one, but I usually, it's to taste, you know. Some people like a little more tomatoes. Some people, my wife likes a little more parsley. And so I like more tomatoes and a little more onions, but the basic recipe is on the website.
So is this your mom's recipe or a recipe you've adapted over time? How did this recipe come to you?
My mom taught me how to cook this, and I added 1 or 2 things. Like I'm the one who started soaking the, my mom used to soak the cracked wheat in the juice of the tomatoes. So she used to let the tomatoes sit there a long time on top of it. But I actually let the olive oil soak in. And it's good to let the juice of the, you know, sometimes you can cut the tomatoes and put it right on top and just let the tomatoes also mix with the cracked wheat. But the nice thing about Roma tomatoes is they don't have a whole lot of juice. They're easier to cut, and they last longer in the salad. They don't get shrunk too much.
Right. So you prefer a Roma tomato to a heritage tomato or some other type of tomato?
Well, it's got to be firm, you know.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's with all the other ingredients.
Sure.
Everything has to be chopped really fine. And I don't know if you're watching me here, but I'm chopping the tomato in many, many slices here. And then they're all cubed, and then I try to even make them smaller than a cube.
So Johnny, do you ever watch that show, Worst Cooks on Food Network? None of them know how to use the knife. They cut their fingers and everything, and the host is flabbergasted at how pathetic they are. But I'm watching you, and you would not be a contestant for this show because you are not one of the worst cooks in America. It looks like you really have nice skills and know what you're doing.
Well, I actually, you know, back, you know, Pam, I know you're used to be a school board member, and I went to Oak Grove High School, and I also went to George Minor Elementary when I was younger, and they used to have cooking classes back.
Yeah.
And I learned how to cook, believe it or not, starting back when I was middle schooler back at Herman. So you see, I double chopped these. I sliced them on the vertical axis, then the horizontal axis, and then I chopped them again. And the reason is you want to have a little bit in every spoonful. You want to have a lot of little tomatoes and a lot of little onions, and it just mixes better. And if you make this in front of an Arab American household, the finer you chop them, the more respect you'll have.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. Okay, so now we've chopped the tomatoes, and for the time processing here, I've already chopped some tomatoes ahead of time. Now I'm actually.
Oh, that's looking delicious, Johnny.
Pardon me?
That looks delicious. I can't wait to taste it.
Yes, it's coming. Hold on, Pam. All right, then onions.
Mm.
Now, you can use red onions, although my mom likes to use red onions.
Mm.
I find the white onions are a little milder, but it's to your own taste. You want to get an onion this size, kind of a large onion, not one of those little tiny ones. I use white onions because they're a little more mild, and some of them are even sweet. And you want to do the same thing that you did to the tomatoes. You cut on the. I actually, in order to not cry, I'll show you a little trick. Don't cut both sides of the onion. Only cut one side. I cut, the side that has all the hairy parts on it, right? And then I leave the other one on so that for chopping. And again, on the vertical axis. Sorry, Pam.
No, you're cutting the onion the way I do. So I'm pretty proud of myself that the master chef, Councilmember Khamis, is teaching me how to use knife skills, and I'm already pretty good with the knife as it relates to an onion. But I didn't know about that not cutting the other end makes you cry. I too do not cut the other end, but that's not why. It's just easier to handle. So,
And it's also easier to handle.
yeah.
So I cut it on the vertical, I cut it on the horizontal, and now I'm just chopping. Because you want these in tiny, tiny particles as well.
What kind of knife are you using? Do you have a special knife that you like to use?
I picked up in Costco, one of these. It's one of the regular old, they call them a chef knife.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Looks like a chef knife.
found it on the top, so you can use it to do this. And yeah, and the key is to cut away from your fingers and yourself.
I like the rolling technique you use.
Okay, so we have now diced these onions to a pretty fine, Again, you want to flavor the salad with them, and you want to have some onions in every bite. And if you cut them too big, you're not gonna be able to get them in every bite. So I've cut more onions for the sake of fast photography here.
So Johnny, one of your viewers, Sue Delenius, I'm sorry, Sue, if I'm mispronouncing your name, suggests wearing swim goggles when you're chopping onions because that helps with the tears too. Also a good tip.
Yeah, unless they fog up. So
That's true.
whenever I swim, I fog up. Okay, and guess what? We're almost done. Now, what I do, I like my tabbouleh salad with a little kick. So I buy these jalapenos, and you don't have to do this, but I cut them on this. I don't know if you see this, but I cut them lengthwise to remove some of the hotter. Most of the heat in jalapenos is in the seeds and in the large white parts that go down. So when I cut the jalapeno, I cut it down. I cut it vertically, and it ends up looking like this, right? And so then I just throw that away, and then again chop it. You want to chop the jalapenos the same way you did the tomatoes and the onions.
So remember to wash your hands though before you put your fingers in your eyes if you scratch your eyes, because that jalapeno will burn and you will not be happy. So make sure when you're working with jalapenos that you wash your hands thoroughly.
That's a great advice. Yes, just throw that right in. Now, we're pretty much done. So all that's left to do is to mix. So I like to use a big bowl to mix this because I usually make it for the entire family and everybody loves it. And so I'm going to be mixing here. And this is what it should look like. You know, it should have a little bit of everything and not stuck together. So I try to fluff it up. See how some of the parsley sticking together? You don't want that. You want to make sure it's thoroughly mixed.
Johnny,
Okay.
I can practically smell it.
Oh, it smells so good. All right. See if we can get some to you shortly here. And then you know what I like to do at the very end? I like to actually throw in a little bit of extra olive oil at the end and salt it. Now, I'm an old pro. I don't really measure my salt, but the only thing I can tell you is you can't take away salt. You can only add it, right? So undersalt your food. And if you like to have it saltier, you know, you can put it on at the table, right? So I kind of throw on some salt, throw on one more shot of olive oil, mix again. Mix, 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 mix. All right, Pam. Oh, this is so good.
It looks good. It looks delicious. I'm hungry.
Okay, and then we take a little bit in a bowl. All right, Pam, here you go.
Thank you.
Okay. And you know what else we're gonna try this. We're gonna try having a little toast together.
So unfair that I don't get that here. Why was that not provided to me?
You know, the nice thing about this is, check this out. I don't know if you can see, this is a clear glass, but you put some of this in there. It's clear, it's liquid.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of water into it. It turns white. That's how you know you have real arak. And you
How do you spell that? Spell arak.
Okay. ARRAK.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yum.
I think different bottles have it spelled differently, but it's Lebanese ouzo basically.
That's
And
great.
I'm gonna join you here real quick in pour myself my own bowl, try to taste my food. What do you think?
Am I ready? Do I get to taste it?
Need a little more. Cheers, Pam.
Cheers. Johnny, this is delicious and it's really healthy. Really, really healthy.
Yeah, it could be a meal, but we actually eat it at every opportunity. But because it takes such a long time to make, because of the prep, it's kind of a special dish. So I'm delighted that I get to share this special dish with you. And I hope I get to invite you over to my house for real sometime soon.
I would love that. So when you serve this in a special occasion, what kind of special occasion would it be that you serve this?
You know, we serve it on, you know, almost any special occasion, birthdays, you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving. You know, me and my wife like it so much weekend is a special day. So anytime you have a little, because it takes a few hours to prepare,
Mhm.
we make it as much as we can. So we're a great team, me and my wife. She's really good at picking the parsley really quick, and I'm not. And I'm good at chopping. So we're a good team at this job.
So what I didn't know about the parsley is that you need to squeeze out the water the way you did.
Uh-huh.
That was a good tip. That's probably the main tip I picked up on this, besides how to make tabbouleh. And so I'm pronouncing it tabbouleh, but you pronounce it tabbouleh.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it a Lebanese dish or a Middle Eastern dish? Would I find this in other parts of the Middle East?
I think the Lebanese are going to claim it, and if you go to any country in the Middle East, because I've been to many countries in the Middle East, the best tabbouleh is in Lebanon by far. Not just because I was born there, but I've actually tried it in Palestine. I've tried it in Syria. I've tried it in many other places, Egypt, Jordan. I've been to many of those countries. The best is definitely the best is in Lebanon, and there's a lot of great restaurants here that actually serve it.
Here in San Jose, where would you go to buy it? If you were going to a restaurant, which restaurant would you go to?
Dish Dash or Dish and Dash. It's on North First Street.
Oh,
The chain of them, I think 4 of them. Yeah, and then there's another one. It's almost like a Chipotle play. I mean, it's a I don't know. It's like you do your own one. They have it too. It's at the Coleman Shopping Center out there. I forgot what it's called, but it's a great place. And you can pick up. By the way, this ingredients. Most of these ingredients you'll find at good Arabic food stores. There's a great one in your district, Pam. I don't know if you've ever been there.
which one?
It's the Food Bazaar.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
Yeah.
That's a great place.
Yeah, it's the largest Middle Eastern store in the area. They have everything, and so you'll definitely find it there.
But could you buy these ingredients at just your normal Safeway or neighborhood store?
Yes.
Do you need to go to a specialty international store?
Only if you want the difference between fine and medium and large, then you need to go to a specialty store. But I think Safeway has it. But it's only one kind. You get whatever's there, like
Right.
Whatever, right? But if you want to go to one of the Middle Eastern stores, you'll have more selection, and actually, I find that the prices are better.
So I have a question for you. So this is a vegetarian dish.
Mm-hmm.
Could you or have you ever added like shredded chicken to it and tossed it with shredded chicken, or that's not something you would do?
No, but we put chicken on the side. It's a side. We use it as a side dish. And like I said, I've had it next to like a grilled fish.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see fish being really nice, a nice accompaniment to it.
Yeah, it's a great complement to fish, chicken, meat, whatever. But I use it as a side dish. I use it as a standalone salad. Because if you do it with other things, the other flavors will kind of take away from the olive oil that you put in there, the expensive olive oil that you put in there, right? And so, no, I don't mix it with anything else. It's just kind of a standalone.
This would probably be really good at a potluck too, as a dish to take to a potluck, because it's different, very healthy, it's really refreshing actually as a salad or as an accompaniment.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I really want to thank you for joining me, Pam, and I hope that we could do this sometime soon.
Johnny, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate this. This is great. I am going to so miss you as my neighbor city council person. We share a border, but we also share a philosophy in many subjects. And I've just enjoyed your camaraderie. And the last 2 years you've really made them helpful and really priceless for me. Even though we've been sheltering in place and haven't been able to, meet in person. We've still had conversations, and I just appreciate your advice and your guidance as a brand new council member last year. And now as I've had my feet wet for a little bit, I cannot thank you enough for your support and your encouragement and your mentorship. And I wish you well. I know that you have represented your district so well. You set the bar really high in how well you communicate with your constituents, how often you're out there. I wish I could only do, 50% of what you do. It's just incredible how much you do in reaching out to your community. So I know you will be desperately missed in District 10, but I will miss you on a personal level. So I hope that we get to stay connected in wherever you end up. And I'm sure we'll be doing something great and something great for the community.
Well, thank you. Thank you for those very kind words, Pam. It has been a distinct honor, and I know that our city's in good hands when I know that leaders like you are there, speaking up. And I appreciate the fact that you speak up and you stand your ground. I hope you continue doing that. I know it's tough out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's to you, Johnny. Cheers.
Cheers. All right, folks, that was our last segment. It's been a real honor serving all of you as your council member. And, I look forward to staying in touch with all of you. Please, you can keep being my friends on Facebook and share things with me on Twitter. Please stay in touch. Again, God bless all of you. Stay healthy. Enjoy the holidays. Be safe. And we'll see you around town when we can. Goodbye.
All right, are we off the air, Adrian?
No.